What's going on, everyone? Back with another episode of Stuff and Things. I heard you all loud and clear on the video from last week. We got to 500 likes, so thank you guys for that. And I said once we got there, I would do a review on what is sitting in front of me right now. So let's jump right into the Ranger X2 by Backfire. I'm gonna start by giving you guys my straight up opinion on this thing. Aesthetically, this is probably one of the best looking boards that I've tested to date. I love the styling of it, I love the all black everything, and they even have the little red T logo up in the front. And that is signifying that the Ranger X2 is one of their more higher end boards that they offer. What makes the X2 really cool in my opinion is that it is powered by 2 hub motors as opposed to being belt driven. Because this is an all-terrain board, those hub motors are definitely an advantage because when you're taking this places like on trails, rocks, sand, things like that, it should keep debris out of the way. This board is powered by a 12S 50.4 volt Sanyo battery, very similar to the G3 that we took a look at last week. The chargers are compatible between these two boards because they are both using the higher output batteries. However, the old ones did not, so you won't be able to use it with those. With the dual hub motor and battery combo, they are advertising a top speed of 22 miles per hour and a range of 16 to 22 miles, and we're definitely going to be putting that to the test today. To give you some more maneuverability, they are running double kingpin trucks, which I'm not the biggest fan of. However, on a board like this, it is almost necessary. And then of course you have the massive 6.5 inch all-terrain wheels and replaceable tires. The tires are actually airless rubber wheels and they are swappable, so that is definitely a nice touch. The Ranger X2 also ships with all of the Backfire accessories that you are probably familiar with, including charging cables, a nice remote with an LED screen, and even a headlight for the board. Alright guys, so those are some of the specs of the Ranger X2. This thing is pretty impressive just by the looks of it. The thing that really stood out to me was the hub motors that are packed in here. Typically when I think of a more all-terrain board like this, I'm thinking of something that is belt driven, so I'm very curious to see how these are gonna go. As you can tell, maybe, I have a cameraman today. Mystery camera guy.
You have no idea who I am.
So I have Dave out here with me helping to film. He is going to be on the G3, which I tested last week. Now I want to start this with a flex test because I think that that is one main advantage that this board has over some of the other ones. I don't really understand the whole carbon fiber deck thing. I prefer something that flexes, and as you can see, this thing flexes pretty damn well. It has that weird kind of like concave drop through design. I think it's going to be pretty comfortable. What do you think?
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Comfy, right? So like always, I'm going to turn the app on my phone. We're gonna track this via GPS, and it's a little bit cold, not quite as cold as when I tested the G3, but I think we should get some pretty good numbers out of this today, hopefully. So this controller is exactly the same as the G3 and some of the other Backfires that I tested in the past. I'm on eco mode. Are you in eco mode? Hit the SE button.
All right, E.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Let's do it. This thing is really quiet. So instantly we only went like 50 yards there, and this thing is ultra quiet, obviously because it's hub motor, but because of the big wheels, it just is significantly quiet compared to the G3. Let's just bump right up into sport mode.
Okay.
Another thing to keep in mind is that these are double kingpin trucks, so you get that initial lean, but once you lean past that first like bushing capacity, you're going to be getting a very extreme lean angle. I'm not a huge fan of double kingpin trucks, but on a board this big, kind of makes sense. Brakes are good. I don't think it's going to be crazy fast, but we'll test out the turbo mode once we get to the smoothest pavement. I can do this. I wouldn't want to do that with a G3. Stuff like that.
Oh, you can ride over grapes.
Yeah.
This thing's got some zip.
Yeah, the G3. This thing looks badass, that's for sure.
Yeah, it does.
There's a little bit of a chatter out of this front wheel.
It's a little loose.
That's what I was checking earlier. So one thing that I'm noticing is that there is a tiny bit of like chatter out of this front wheel. You can probably see it. I'll actually take the camera then so you guys can see it, but if I spin it in a straight line, see how it's kind of off axis? It's not really affecting anything other than I can feel it very slightly and hear it. So we're gonna do a speed test now. Turbo mode activated. You do too, yep.
Oh, this is the first time I get to pass you.
Yeah, that thing's way faster. Okay, so one thing that I first noticed right there with the speed test is that the turbo mode on this one, the new Ranger X2, cut off like the old Backfires used to. The turbo mode on Dave's board on the G3, like I mentioned when I did that review video, yeah, it stays in turbo mode.
Nice.
So I'm gonna try that one more time to see if it bumps itself out of turbo mode. You're gonna catch up, so I'm just gonna go.
Go ahead.
The acceleration is smooth, the board is very smooth in both carving and the way the wheels feel and everything. Here comes Dave flying up behind me. Yeah, that thing is much, much faster than this.
Yeah.
Is your face warm with the helmet?
Yeah, it feels nice.
Sweet. So yeah, it bumped out of turbo mode again. So I guess that is one thing that's a little bit different between this and the G3. Hill test time.
Quick.
Let's just go right into the hill test. There's probably a cooldown period because this is not going back into turbo mode, so let's wait a second until this can go back and then we'll try it. All right, after a few seconds, it allows me to go back into turbo mode. Let's try this. Hopefully it will remain in turbo mode for at least the lower section of this hill. Seems to be doing it all right. It needs a little bit more power to move the bigger wheels. There it just bumped itself out of turbo mode, but we made it to the top. And now for the longer, steeper part, I mean, it's making it. It's doing it decently. Dave has passed me. He's in front of me now, not in turbo mode either, so seems like that one is gonna do a little bit better uphill. Let's go straight here. But for the first hill test, I would say that the X2 passes. Now for some downhill time. I know the G3 did great on this. I think this will do pretty good, hopefully. Cruising down this hill right now though. Yeah, brakes are very strong on the X2 as well. The G3 was able to come to a complete stop at the bottom of this hill, and I think this is going to as well. Yeah, absolutely great brakes. Good job, Backfire. Brakes on that are good, right?
Yeah, but we are also extremely trusting of them to be flying down this hill and just trust the brakes are gonna work.
I trust them.
Effortless. It's really smooth, so I guess I have a tough time with myself just being comfortable going through grass on a skateboard, but once you get used to it, it doesn't like hold up. You'd think there would be a drastic difference between riding on and off the road, but
Just kind of trust it and it goes.
yeah.
So what I've come to learn after testing a lot of boards, especially this season, is that an all-terrain board, which is like this, it shouldn't be treated as an off-road board. It's all-terrain because you can take it through grass like you see us doing it right now. However, once you get onto trails, which I guess we will do in a little bit, if I had to guess, I think it's going to get a little bit sketchy. When it comes to the deck and a board of this character, I would prefer something like this that's wooden and flexy, feels like a normal longboard, as opposed to the carbon fiber decks. I know a lot of companies are doing that and it's popular for whatever reason, but for me, definitely not a big fan of that. I guess if you're riding on like pristine streets, very smooth pavement, on a regular board, that would be okay, but I think this is a really cool package as of now. Get how bad this sidewalk is. Normal skateboard would not do that.
Yeah, not bad.
All right, time to test this board where I wrecked myself last time. Dave's gonna ride it though, and I'm gonna follow him. All right, so immediately the first thing I'm noticing while riding the X2 off-road is that it does have a little bit of a suspension, or a suspension feeling I should say, with the flex of the board. I was a little bit worried because other boards that I tested in the past that had very stiff carbon fiber decks, they also did not have inflatable tires, but they had harder wheels like you'll find on this board right here. With a combination like that, you're feeling every little bump and crack and you're feeling it being very loose in the rocks, whereas this one feels much more comfortable. Like, if I had to describe this board in one word, it would be comfortable. I can ride it over top of pretty much anything, and the more I'm riding it now, the more I realize that, like, I'm not even really thinking about it. I'm riding on gravel right now, there's sticks and leaves and stuff everywhere, and I'm just kind of cruising like I normally would be on a regular board on the asphalt. All right guys, back from our pretty chilly ride out here today. I tried waiting until we had a little bit warmer of a day to test this thing because, like the G3, when it's cold outside and you're testing electric rideables, it tends to hinder the performance a little bit. Definitely experienced that a little bit. Checking the weather right now, it's about 40 degrees Fahrenheit out here. So again, not ideal conditions, but this thing will stick around here on the channel until the springtime when Dave and I do the whole e-board showdown thing. So let's check out the app. We were riding for a total time of about an hour to an hour and a half, a total distance of 10.12 miles, average moving speed of 9.77 miles per hour, and a max speed of 19.37 miles per hour. So as far as the distance goes, we did cover a wide range of terrains today. We did the hill test, we did the top speed test, we were using turbo mode. We were also riding like up hills and in rocks and in a lot of different places around here, so that testing wasn't ideal. The weather also wasn't ideal. Again, if you are lighter, I'm like 180 pounds probably. If you are riding in completely ideal conditions, you could probably get more. They advertise 16 to 22 miles, so not quite as advertised. However, you're gonna get fluctuations with things like that. And then the max speed. This is like right at my threshold of what I want a board to do. I think 20 to 22 miles per hour is like the very ideal situation for boards, especially this size. Like I mentioned with the G3, that thing was bordering on the line of like too fast. Here's a candid question. How fast do you want an electric skateboard to go?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
Or the viewers?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, okay.
Like if you just had to put a number on it.
23.
23 miles per hour. I agree with that. I said in my last video that anything over 25 is a little extreme. I wish this was a little bit more powerful. You're obviously working with some different hub motors than other boards. I think the next generation of this board will be like almost perfect. I think with a little bit more power, a little bit more range, but I think a little bit higher of a top speed would make this thing just a tiny bit better. So another thing that I want to tell you guys about is the wheel issue that I was having. It was sort of wobbly in the beginning, and over the last couple of miles there, as I was finishing out the distance test, it corrected itself somehow. It must have been some weird like shaping of the wheel initially, so maybe it like smoothed out just from riding it, but it's not making that noise that it was, and it seems to be fine now. So I'm not sure what that was about. So if I had to describe this thing in one word, like I mentioned already, I would say that this is a very comfortable board. It's confidence inspiring in the fact that you can take it pretty much anywhere. And again, it's not an off-road board. It's not like a mountain board. You're not going to be ripping down gravel trails and like flying in and out of trees. I mean, you could. I wouldn't do that, but that would be kind of scary. But as far as a board that you can take anywhere from curb to asphalt over grass and gravel if you need to get to like the next place, I think it does all of that pretty damn well.
Yeah, I think of sidewalks that have like big cracks in them and you can't ride on sidewalks with a normal skateboard. This is fine.
There was a lot of stuff that you guys saw me riding on with this that I would not take another skateboard on, so it's cool in that aspect. Also, it might look like it sits pretty high, but because of the deck design with the kind of weird shape to it and the drop-through trucks, it actually sits about the same height off of the pavement as the G3. So that's another cool touch. You felt pretty grounded the whole time. Didn't feel squirrely at all. Overall, it's just a really comfortable board. The flex is great, and I think this is a board that I can recommend. As of right now, again, it is the holiday seasons as we are filming this video. Backfire has a deal on the G3 right now, but also all of their boards. So this board, originally MSRP comes in at $1,200. It's $200 off right now, so you're getting this board for about $1,000. That's putting it really competitive with a lot of other options with the same sort of specs here: double kingpin trucks, range, top speed, the wheels and features and all of that. So I'm gonna give this one my stamp of approval, thumbs up from me, and yeah, let me know what you guys think about it in the comments down below.
I'll be sure to comment.
You're gonna comment?
I'll comment.
Thanks, dude. So if you guys have any questions on this thing, let me know. This might wrap up the electric skateboard videos for this season. I don't know, it's getting pretty cold out.
I'm pretty chilly. I hope the camera isn't shaking too much.
I don't know, hopefully my nose isn't running. If you guys have any questions, you're really shaking.
Hopefully the camera isn't shaking too much.
If you guys have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. I'll try to answer anything as best as possible. If you want to check out the spreadsheet to figure out what board fits your needs as far as range and price and all of that good stuff, link down below. Pop it up on the screen here. You can't even see it because there's just too many lines.
It was too fast.
Wait, one more time.
It's just like
That's it. Okay, that's good.
Alright, sorry.
That's all that I got for today. If you're new to the channel, consider clicking subscribe and make new videos every week.
Click.
Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys in the next one.